Now, our first duo to come up and speak about their time at the football club this evening. Both came through the duel in the Rovers ground, the academy. They both went on to represent the first team. Damien Johnson has played for, coached, and had, if I'm right, one game in charge of Rovers. It was definitely Damien's win as well, and he's part of the current first team coaching setup. David Dunn is a homegrown hero, from a boyhood Rovers fan to playing nearly 400 games for the club he grew up supporting. Both were in the promotion-winning team in 2001 and played their part in the Worthington Cup winning run the following year. Please welcome Damien Johnson and David Dunn. Gentlemen, how are we? You two go back quite a long way, don't you?
Yeah, too long. We first met, I think, when you came over as a schoolboy, maybe?
Yeah, about 25,
26 years ago.
26
so,
years ago, yeah.
A long time.
A long time now.
Very different paths, though, coming through at this football club. We're getting to the point of being at this football club. For you, Damien, what was it like making the move over from Northern Ireland coming to East Lancashire?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. The team had just won the Premier League in '95. Just seemed to be, the Brockall had just been completed in terms of the facility. So it was like cutting edge at the time, really. Like there was no other facility like this in the country. And Blackburn was just kind of was deemed as the biggest team in the country and leading the way in lots of different ways. So it was exciting, obviously, to come in that type of environment.
What about you, Dunny? What was that moment of realisation like when you've had that dream of sort of wanting to sign up for this football club and it all gets that little bit closer to being that reality of playing for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I would say, when I came full-time, I had the benefit of Brett Ormerod, actually, that was here a couple of years before me. And he ended up staying in Great Harwood and not moving into Diggs. So when obviously I signed my YTS at the time, Brett said to me, make sure you go into Diggs, because I felt like I was a little bit isolated because I was getting into training and the lads are getting a bond at night time at Brockall, and I didn't quite have that. So probably a really good bit of advice from Brett to move down to Brockall. I still remember my grandma and my mum crying because I was moving 5 minutes away. So that was pretty good. But I was just delighted to get out of the house, to be honest, and move down with all the lads. And yeah, it was a really good couple of years. And Johnny, I think you was at Keeper's Cottage, weren't you?
Yeah, there was
just hold the mic up, Damien. Just hold it a little bit closer.
Yeah, so there's 20 of us on Brockall at the time, and the houses on Hillside. They're still there, actually. So it was 10 in each house. But we had actually 27 scholars. So there was it was really competitive, wasn't it? It was a big group. So there was an overspill. So we stayed in a Keeper's Cottage just up the road. So, but I mean, it was great times. 27 of us all together. Chasing the dream, really. But some really great memories.
I think we was really lucky as well that we had, obviously, Jim Fennell, who was youth development manager at the time, and obviously Kevin Sheedy, obviously a top player, played in the World Cup. Alan Irvine, who still to this day is probably one of the, I think you'd agree, probably one of the best coaches in the country. And then obviously my second year, Rob Kelly and Bobby Downs came in, which I think all 5 of them made a massive impact on myself, both on and off the pitch. 27
of you together, that sounds like absolute carnage. That must have been some eventful days, nights then?
Yeah, I got away with it. I got away with it because I was kind of quiet, but Dave was a bit chirpier, and I think the older guys like to bring him down a peg or two, and so
to be fair, Johnny left me alone a little bit. A few of his the age group in his age group didn't. So I've done many laps around Brockall, polished from head to toe with DP in not so comfortable places, should I say.
Were you always quite a lively character from a young age? When you went in and you had the more senior players, did you have that, I'm confident enough to sort of hold my own amongst you and I'll give a little bit back to them?
I think so. You know, even when I was an altar boy, I was trying to say mass. So, yeah, it was... yeah, I've always been pretty confident in my own ability, and I think that's probably what got me through in a lot of ways. You know, that having that self-belief, probably annoyed people along the way. Yes. Sure, I've annoyed a certain person in here many times.
Who had 5 minutes on the sweep then?
I knew he was going to say that.
What about you, Damien? How different was it, sort of coming over from a different country and having to settle in? Done these 5 minutes, as you mentioned, down the road.
Yeah, I mean, but it was. I mean, I was one of 8, so I was sharing a bedroom with my 4 brothers. So it was like, I was just delighted to get out of there at that time. But obviously coming over, they'd obviously just won the league. But then Kenny had stepped up and he became director of football. So in those days, it wasn't quite the same role. It was just Kenny kind of just floated around and kind of was there and around. So we would go out in the afternoon as a youth team to train in the afternoon, and Kenny Dalglish would put a bib on and come and join in the 5-a-side, and I'd be sending with that. Yeah, I was playing in Kenny Dalglish's team, and he'd be like, he thought I was like going making it up. I'm like, no, seriously, Kenny's joining in every day. It was like that. It was so down. Kenny was like desperate to get involved, stay involved, and as I say, the coaching we got there and with the education we got, and just the environment. It was the first team, the youth team, the reserve team. We're all on the one side. It was a fantastic time,
and it was really competitive, which I think sometimes in academy football at times, it's kind of, I feel like, lost that competitiveness. I mean, like Johnny said, we had 27 lads there that wanted to kick the living daylights out of each other every single day just to get noticed and get to that next step. So, a really good environment to be in, and probably no surprise that quite a few of us went on to have decent careers.
How different, you both worked in the game after your playing days have come to a close. How different is it for the younger lads coming through now then compared to what you both experienced?
I mean, I think back then, Blackburn were like, remember that we would go and sign the players that Man United were trying to sign. We would sign the captain of England, and we were signing players from everywhere. Yeah. Everyone wanted to come to Blackburn, and it just seemed to be, it was a really competitive. It was the standard of training was very good, and you could tell that Jack just. He spared no expense when it came to the academy and was happy to invest in it heavily. And we players coming from Scotland, the international captain came, the Welsh, the England captain John Curtis at the time, Marlon Brooms. We had people like Duffer came from Ireland. People from all over the British Isles. Really, it was an incredible environment.
I do think as well, though. I'm of the mindset that, if you're good enough, I think you can get through anywhere. I think if your mindset's right and you have a positive attitude and your ability backs that up, I do feel that whether it's 20 years, 30 years ago or now, I do feel that if you have a manager that trusts in you and believes in you and is prepared to give you a crack. I mean, we've seen it the other season here with Adam Wharton, who's gone on, obviously, England international now, doing ever so well. He was obviously a graduate of the academy as well, but I had a manager in Jon that wanted to give him a chance. I believe so. Listen, I think if you're a young player coming through anywhere, I think if you have the ability, then I think if you're good enough, if you're old enough, you're good enough.
Was it a different experience away from the actual football, though? Because were you cleaning boots back in the days, things like that? Who would you have done that for?
Some did.
I think that side of it's changed in terms of the players do a lot less. And I mean, we're doing climbing trees, looking balls, and painting stands at Ewood and stuff. But that sounds, and I think that's okay as well. I think they get more time on the grass now. The kind of the player welfare, what surrounds it now is a lot. There's a lot more support. I think, in terms of the psychology side of things, and say just the general welfare and the pastoral side. But and obviously the coaching they get, we didn't get loads of analysis. We didn't have lots of that type of exposure, and you know, and I'm sure that would have helped us at the time. But you say at our time, we felt that we had the best coaches. We really had good coaches at the time, and that the couple of years I had at Blackburn were, you know, at my scholarship was instrumental, obviously, in helping me have that career. So we had probably a lot less then, but you know, I still think, as Dave said, it's relative. It was still a challenge to get through then. It's still a real challenge for the kids to get through now.
What was it like for both of you? Sorry, David, when you sort of bridged that gap from playing in the youth team to go on and make your first team debut and appear regularly for the first team?
Well, I don't remember a lot of things now, but I do remember, and I actually remember, I think it was Middlesbrough your first game. And I just remember sat on the bench, and obviously one of our group, he's playing against Middlesbrough, and I remember thinking, I can't hear myself think here. And Johnny did really well in the game. I was thinking, I can't wait to get a chance to go on there. You know, it was like playing in front of a load of fans, and the experience, the atmosphere was brilliant. And I think that seeing someone do that, and Duff the season before, I think against Leicester, he made his debut, did really well, got man at match. You know, so I think, like we said before, really competitive between each other, and kind of, you know, really kicked each other on, which I think was a real good thing to have. You know, a group of young lads that are striving to be footballers.
Bit of a surreal moment at Middlesbrough then?
Yeah, I mean, and I think at the time, Roy Hodgson was the manager, and you know, the team was just doing okay, but they had a couple of injuries, and I travelled to, we played in a Europa League match, UEFA Cup back then. We'd been to Lyon, so I'd actually I'd made my debut there, or I came on the field to play then, but actually my first start was at Middlesbrough. But Roy was great with me. The dressing room was fantastic. People like Kev and that, you know, really, and Jason Wilcox, they were amazing in terms of just helping you, you know, keep your head, and the advice they were giving you was fantastic. So, you know, say you're young and you're just enthusiastic, and you just think, well, I'm ready for this. You know, we both felt we should have been playing the week before, you know, so we felt we were ready for it. But see, looking back, it was great times.
I think the other thing as well to say is, like, we were obviously playing in the reserve team, but you'd have half of the first team playing week in, week out with you. So in terms of playing with the, you know, like the senior players, we're kind of used to it. We're training there with them most days. And then obviously the reserve game came, you know, a few of the better younger players, as we say, would get a chance to go and play with it in the reserve team, which was a really good experience. Not only was you playing with a load of senior players, but you was also playing against players with loads of appearances behind them. So you were kind of, even though it was in the reserves, which was still competitive, you was kind of pitching yourself against senior players and thinking, I'm going to get the better of him. And you know what I mean? And it was really good to pitch yourself against him and think, I'm ready to go now.
Do you still hold a grudge to Martin Darlene for your debut?
Oh yeah, that wasn't a great day, was it? You know, I was delighted to get on the pitch, I've got to say, but I would have preferred it if Marco Materazzi and Martin Darlene hadn't decided to have a spit fight and get themselves sent off. Otherwise, I'd have been. The story is, so I went back in the. Obviously, you said about me being a bit chirpy and stuff like. So Roy Hodgson's obviously coming from Inter Milan. And the time it was the big baths, and I just remember being subbed. If you don't know that's what happened, which was a little bit embarrassing. And I was in the bath on my own at the end, and he just came over to me, a really big coach, a really big personality, and he said, "Don't you worry, son. You'll get another chance." I just said to him, "Look, I don't care about that." I said, "I've got to go out tonight with all my mates in Great Harwood, and they're all going to take the out of me. And like, he was like the head coach of Inter Milan, but I was so fuming with him that he brought me off. But I think he put Billy McKinley on and Gary Flitcroft, and I remember him saying, I just run around up there. I'm like, I could just run around and do the same as they do. But anyway, it is what it is.
What sort of changed in terms of the club when Graeme arrived? Because it had been through a tough spell after Roy Hodgson. How different a feel did it have once Graeme had come to the football club?
Obviously, we had a difficult time under Roy, and you know, in the Premier League at the time, and then Brian Kidd came in, and unfortunately for him, it just didn't quite work out. We ended up getting relegated, I think, at the end of that season. But to be fair to the club at the time and Jack, he kept the squad together and he reinvested. And you know, I think then when you do that, the emphasis is on it, the pressure's on you to go straight back up. And the season didn't start so well. And I think at the time they give Brian every chance, but it just didn't work out. And after, I think we dropped here by the 18th or 19th, and Brian left, and I think Tony took over for a few games, and then there was talk of obviously Graeme coming in, and you know, I think when someone like Graeme Souness walks in the door, then you know it's you know, he brings that kind of aura that similar to Kenny had previously when you know you're a young kid and Kenny Iglesias there. So Graeme Souness is coming in because and even at the time you knew he had a fantastic playing career, but he was also he'd had a really strong start to his managerial career. You know, he'd won titles at Rangers, he'd been at Liverpool, he'd had success there, and he'd had success at Galatasaray, these top clubs. So here he is at Blackburn, and so I think that's what the group needed, because it was a really strong group, struggling in the Championship, which isn't easy. You see this season, teams are struggling, so it's not always easy to adopt. People think it's automatic that you'll come back up, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. But Graeme was fantastic at settling the group down, and the next season we just won.
What was different about the next season then? Because it was set against the backdrop of obviously losing Jack and his presence, that sort of figurehead around the football club. On the pitch, what was the catalyst for everything?
He played me. I've got to say, I think that was the biggest thing I would say is, you know, we spoke before about managers believing in players. You know, I felt 10 feet tall when Graeme Souness came in the building, and I think the biggest one was, I think Craig Ignat was a senior player, and I think Graeme got us in the office and he kind of said to me, what number do you want? And I said 8, and I think Iggy wanted 8, and he just said like, well, Dunny, you can have the number 8. And after that I was like, wow, this is amazing, like he really believes in me. And I think once you have that belief, someone believes in you that much, I think you can just go from strength to strength. And I loved my time playing under him. It was an amazing time.
Some squad, really wasn't
it?
Yeah, full of loads of different sort of characters within there, and how important was it to have that sort of blend within it?
Well, I think we had a brilliant mix, you know, between the senior players and the young lads, and we, in terms of the team spirit we had, probably doesn't happen a lot where you have that bond between a 32-year-old and a 20-year-old kid that you can go out on a night out and we're all mixed together, and I think that proved on the pitch, because we were really, really close off the pitch, and I think it certainly helped us on the pitch. Yeah.
Who played the best prank, either on you or that you can remember within that squad?
Johnny probably didn't get involved much in that, did you? I had a kipper in my trainer for months, and I think Shorty and Flitty did that to me. But it was a payback, because I thought Flitty looked like Chesney Hawkes, so I got a number plate made up and put it on the back of Flitty's car saying Ches won, and he was on Deansgate and people were flagging him down saying, what's your number plate? And he looked, and then so after that we was on the team bus, and obviously I couldn't find it for ages. I was like, there stinks of fish everywhere I go. And even if I didn't wear my trainers, they were in my house, and it was just stinking of It might have been Kippers, actually. So, yeah, that's probably the best one. But I'm sure there's a lot more.
Burnley games from that season. Quite how special were they to be part of?
Well, it was the 2-0 first, right? So the 2-0 was at Turf Moor, first game in 30 years maybe, or something like that. So to go in our biggest rivals at the time, there was a massive build-up with it because we hadn't played each other for so long. So to get the win was obviously amazing time. Certainly for a local lad. You know, it was extra special. But the 5-0, I can't really remember too much of the 5-0 because we went to Dubai for a week before it. That was even better than the 5-0.
It culminated at Preston. Just give us an idea what it was like in the dressing room before that game when you knew what was at stake.
I just remember saying one thing. I said to the lads in the dressing room, guys, just remember, play the game, not the occasion. And I had a stinker. It wasn't one of my best games, but listen, we got it over the line. And I think, you know, obviously the year that Jack sadly passed away, so it was great to do it for him, really.
And good celebrations afterwards. Can we remember them?
Can't really remember. I think it was peppermint plate cav for it or something. I don't know. I can't remember.
It was all in Manchester. We all go to Manchester after that.
Maybe.
It must have been a good night if you can't even remember where you went. What
I can't remember.
Town or city you went to?
Did we end up in the Duncan House? Maybe the Duncan House. Was it the time when that might have been the Worthington Cup? I can't remember. Anyway, we ended up at the Dunk at one of the times, whether the Worthington Cup or the promotion.
That wasn't bad either, was it?
Yeah, it was amazing. Keith Gillespie, I remember doing an interview and he said, we're really looking forward to playing at Highfield Park and Trafford Park. So, God knows what stadiums we were on about there, but typical Keith.
How special for both of you to have played a part then, having come through the academy in the promotion and in the Worthington Cup campaign as well, when you sort of think of your own individual journeys at the football club and what you ultimately achieved. How special is that?
Yeah, I think it's obviously really special, especially coming through, but more so when you've been part of a relegation squad, you feel like a responsibility to kind of, you know, it's like the expectation was there for us to go up, and you felt we did have the best squad. I remember on a Friday when we do 11v11 in match prep, you literally could have international in different positions all over the pitch, and so you'd sometimes 8 or 9 full internationals. And this is in the championship, not starting the game. So I think there was that expectation, and we put that on ourselves. So you know, I think on that night, I remember Preston were maybe kind of guaranteed playoffs, or they were, and I remember David Healy sending me at the time, we were going to spoil the party, you know. But I think secretly they didn't actually want us in the playoffs, so I think it suited them that we beat them, and they end up going up. So, but yeah, so it just felt like we were getting Blackburn back to where they belonged, really.
And for you to achieve those things with your football club as well?
Yeah, I mean, like we touched on before, I mean, to get in that couple of years, which I thought probably my favourite time at the club, where we got promoted and then obviously won the Worthington Cup, you know, a real special time. And I think for everyone, I think even, you know, I know obviously Kev was part of it as well, to win the Premier League and then to go down that slippery slope for a while, and then to suddenly everyone rejuvenate and then get back into the Premier League. Just felt them years were really special for a lot of fans as well.
A couple of quick fire questions for you both. One from Gareth. Who is the best player you've ever shared a pitch with, and who was your toughest opponent?
I mean, in the Blackburn days, I mean, Dunny in his, you know, I think Dunny had a great career, but I genuinely feel he didn't have the career he should have had, really. I still
Cheers.
feel I still feel.
There's someone else in here that might say that.
He got one England cap. I think he should have had a lot more. He was a fantastic player. I mean, Duff at the time was a mercurial talent. He was a wonderful player. And then obviously Graeme brought Dugout to the club, and what a special player he was.
What about toughest opponent you faced?
Oh, without question for me, Patrick Vieira. I mean, he could do everything. I mean, there's always the question in our kind of era, Keane or Vieira. For me, Vieira. I remember lining up at Highbury and looking up at him. He's towering, probably 4 foot bigger than me. Quick, strong, physical, loved a tackle. But boy, could he pass the ball, assisted, scored goals, headed it. For me, complete player, Patrick Vieira. He was an amazing player. I think he only scored 2 that game as well.
Lucy wants to know if you could bring back one thing from your playing days, the boots, the banter, or the haircuts, what would it be?
Definitely the haircuts. Definitely haircuts.
We had some rascal bonnets. That would be a good competition between.
This Damien's goal against Arsenal we're talking about now, the flowing locks.
Yeah. That'd be a good competition between me and you. At least you didn't dye yours.
To be honest, I like the days when people just wore black football boots. Everyone just kind of wore black football boots. But it's just me being old-fashioned, I suppose.
Okay, last one for you, Dunny. Is there one moment that defines your love for Rovers?
Listen, I think there's been so many great experiences for me at this football club. So I know the fans would probably want me to say the Burnley goal, but in all fairness, scoring against Burnley for me was great at the time. But then we have to, think about at the time scoring against Burnley was like we should be beating these. So it was great to score and get on the team sheet. But I think the best moments for me was obviously the ones I think to play in a major cup final was anyone that were there. I think it's a fantastic day for everyone going into the Millennium Stadium as underdogs. I think it was the first major final with the roof closed. The atmosphere was electric. I think we had so many supporters in the stadium, and we got the job done, and it was an amazing day.
Just say the Burnley goal again to get a cheer.
Nah.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us tonight. Both Damien and David, huge contributions to the club down the years. Damien's obviously still continuing coaching. Dunny's a regular here at Ewood Park, of course. Give them both a huge round of applause. Damien Johnson and David Dunn.
Thank you.